Okay, all right. Excuse me. It's a Monday stream, which means it's a Monday brain kind of day. Let's hope I can use the brain for good today. All right, so I've been messing around a lot with Babashka again this weekend, and I managed to do a few things. So first of all, let's see here. I started organizing my Babashka scripts into a little structure here where, let's see here. This is the scripts folder. It just has all of the source scripts. They tangle into the source folder. And then I have a I mean, it works so far for my needs. I've got this, I made this Uberscripter script that compiles is maybe too loose a term, but Babashka has this feature that you can run it with on a file. Let's see here. Let's try to run it on one that works. File source CLJ to SCAD as an example lets me run I think it's just like this, Uberscript, and theoretically this would work, but it'll build a script that doesn't necessarily have all of the dependencies I need injected properly. Because you need to set your class path before you run the script. So instead of doing that manually every time, I made a little script that it works with how I've been writing scripts. So it's built in with a few assumptions that I will be running, or that I define my scripts with a add deps at the top of the script file. So here you can see I have a deps map kind of built in there with this particular script. So I just run this get deps script and it just looks for that first form. So the assumption, it could easily break if you have other forms before you have a deps, or you could even have if you have no deps, it'll probably fail. So this is just a first pass script. But so it gets your deps. It builds a class path using, if you look down here at the main build, it's a mess, but it works for now. It basically takes, where's the class path? I forget how I did that. Oh yeah, never mind. So get deps, yeah. It pulls the string and reads it to get the deps map. See this? This is like a super lazy destructuring with no guards at all. So that's what I mean, right? A first pass. Anyway, you turn it into a string and then you run a shell call here. And this runs the actual Clojure thing, so you still need the JVM to do this, at least for the time being, but I don't mind that. This is all just internal script, so be it. Anyway, it builds the path and gets the string back from that. Then you can run Babashka with that string as the class path, and then you build the temp file, Uberscript it, and then I basically just I build the script and then I put I don't know what this is called, the script thing at the top, and then I make it executable. And the reason that's all nice to do is because I've added this build folder onto my path URL in my bashrc file, I think is what it's called. Anyway, This is long-winded, but it lets me do stuff like this. I'm going to open a new terminal here for a minute. Let me see if I can zoom this in just a bit. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to cd into a dev temp folder. So here, if I vim ASDF CLJ here, for example, this is a tiny snippet of SCAD CLJ code. So this compiles, transpiles, if you will, into .scad. And I can run one of my scripts on that. I can do CLJ to SCAD Uber CLJ and pass in ASDF.CLJ, and it will build ASDF.SCAD. So let's remove that just to prove it. Oops. So if I list that, ASDF.SCAD shows up right there. So I've got a really quick compiler script that I can use anywhere on in my directories, which is really quite handy. And once I clean up the interface a little bit, like do proper parsing and stuff like that of command line arguments, I could change the script up so that it can work really nicely with pipes and stuff like that in a Unix environment. I'm not an expert in that stuff, so I don't know necessarily the best practices yet for doing that. But as a start for organizing my scripts in a much cleaner way, I'm really happy with how this is turning out so far. So this actually nicely works as well with, so if I run CLJ to step on ASDF, that's CLJ, I can get a step output as well. If there's anyone tuned in and not logged in on Twitch or whatever, thanks for showing up. I have no idea how many people actually view without I don't know. I'm not sure how the view counts work and stuff like that. But if you're watching and tuned in and not commenting, that's totally cool. I just want to say thanks for listening. I really appreciate that. Engagement with the channel is always helpful. I want to grow the channel. I want to grow, the community around this sort of stuff over time. So if you're willing and capable to be involved in some capacity, commenting, following, all that sort of stuff, go ahead and do so. And if you just want to watch, that's really cool too. I appreciate that as well. Anyway, it appears that my step file exporter did not work the way I thought it would. Interesting. One step forward and one step back, I suppose. I wonder what's happening there. Well, still some bugs to work out, clearly. But hey, that's part of the game. All right, let's have a look at that then and see what I've missed. Right. It might have something to do with the directory that I might not be getting the right directory here. Or maybe I have to rebuild it. It's possible that I didn't build the latest. So let's do Uberscripter source CLJ to step building. Okay, so now theoretically there's a new one here. I'm just going to close this and open a new one. And now, okay, let's do CLJ to let's try that again. I don't think that worked. Oh, it did. Hey, Mike, good to see you. How was last week? It was a quiet week on stream, actually. Not a ton of engagement, which, you know what, I'll admit, is a bit of a bummer sometimes. So it was, I managed to get good work done still, but it was just, it was quiet. Not bad, just, not the same, that's all. But hey, nice to see you here this week. I hope you're doing well. Oop. I want to see if this actually worked the way I intended. Oop. Gotta open this step file. Hey, how's everybody doing? Let's see here. I am supposed to be in the temp directory here. Let's see here. Hanging in there. It was a busy last week at work. You couldn't stop by the stream at all. Cooling down a bit this week now, so you can actually tune in. Hey man, no problem. I always appreciate it when you tune in, and I always understand if you don't. So no issues on my end. I hope you made it through relatively unscathed in your work week last week. So to give a little bit of context here, if you just tuned in there, Mike, I started showing. So this weekend, actually, I'm going to close this. It's not important right now. I was working on. Hey, Graz, how are you? I hope you're doing well. Thanks for tuning into the stream. I've been very good. Nice. Glad to hear you're doing well. That's good. Always like it when people are when people are well. That's definitely important. All right. A little bit of context here, right? So I have this bad habit of making a bunch of scripts that work halfway to what I want, and they're all in their own independent projects and stuff. And I figured it might be smart to organize my scripts just a little bit more effectively. So I made this script folder in my dev folder, and it has just this here. So it's got this org file, which is currently what's going on in here. And what I do is, let's take this one as an example. They're basically Babashka scripts. So it's Clojure code that runs in a, what's the word? It runs in the shell. It runs as a script. Ooh, org roam. Yeah, so I have org roam installed, and I will admit I've not been using it lately at all. That's purely a me problem. I know it's great, and I intend to build up a more diverse knowledge network, or not network. I intend to actually use it, but you won't see me using it on stream really. Yeah, see that's the thing, right? It's these tools are really quite powerful, but they it's like, where do you start is kind of the big question. So I don't even say I confidently have plain old org mode perfectly mapped to what I want to achieve. I use it to great success when I'm doing Clojure development. It lets me write notes, write snippets of code really quickly, and reorganize it kind of, as I see fit. But there's lots of stuff I can improve on as well. But anyway, org roam is a cool looking tool that I haven't had the time to really integrate effectively. So don't judge me for my lack of org roam. Anyway, this Uberscript thing, Babashka is amazing. I've talked about it a little bit here and there. Basically, I've got a source here, and I build some kind of script that does some kind of thing for me. And if I go into the source here, I can actually use these directly. So let's remove asdf.scad. This slice lib thing is a work in progress, so we'll ignore that. So I'm going to make asdf.clj as an example here. Let's do spheres are always the easiest. Let's just do a sphere. Okay, so I can run right in this directory clj to scad. So let's do bb babashka clj to scad, and then I want to pass in asdf.clj, and that is silent, but that means it worked. That produced this file here. Point is, my scripts, one second. Anyway, my scripts work right here, no problem. But I built this Uberscript script that builds any one of my scripts into a build folder. And what Uberscript does, it's a Babashka thing you can run. It basically just looks at all your your top level require forms and copies and pastes the code from those libraries into a single script. So it can be a little big and clunky if if you're worried about pulling in the whole world into a single file. But I'm not using it for crazy stuff like that. At least I don't think I am. Anyway, so Uberscripter, I run it on the source files and it puts things into the build folder. And so if I go into cd build, here I've got just these two for now, clj to scad, clj to step. And if I go to my temp folder, it's in a different spot. I can run clj to scad or step right away because I put that build folder on my in my path. So once you basically my build script it'll form the Uberscript with the proper dependencies and all that stuff, proper class path, blah blah blah. At the end it'll chmod plus x, so it'll make it executable. It will append to or prepend to the file this shebang thing so that it runs with BB, which means once you've built the script, and assuming the script works, you can use it from anywhere in your terminal. So I'm really happy with that, and that's super useful for stuff like this. I have a lot of things that kind of take a Clojure form and output some different thing. So SCAD is 3D modeling program. Step files are a 3D model format that's really useful for professional CAD. SVG, this is something I'm pretty proud of. This is a work in progress in my library here. Question for later, why whatever SCAD versus OpenSCAD plus SCAD CLJ? I'm not sure I understand your question directly. The secret here is I am using SCAD CLJ to build this. I'm just using these scripts. I'm just building these scripts, one, to learn a little bit. Oh, that was your question. Okay. Okay. Cool. Yeah, so I am using SCAD CLJ library. I have my own fork of it here. Another SCAD program open. Oh, do you mean FreeCAD? I had FreeCAD open at one point. Maybe I'm misunderstanding you here. Here, let me show you what's going on here. This is actually kind of an interesting question. Same language as OpenSCAD. So FreeCAD has a you can integrate it has an OpenSCAD module. So basically, FreeCAD has an OpenSCAD parser in it, and it builds. Oh, there you go. That's the source of confusion. Yeah, so you can open SCAD stuff in here. CLJ to OpenSCAD to FreeCAD. Yep, that's right. Just for clarity, it's not free SCAD, it's just FreeCAD. See this? FREECAD. That might have been a typo, but just for clarity. So the reason I use FreeCAD, the main goal that I have for using FreeCAD at all, and honestly, eventually I want to remove it as a dependency in the chain because it's a pretty heavy program. It's not bad, it's just heavy. Anyway, the main reason I want to use it is so that I can import and export step files. Now, if you're familiar with OpenSCAD, you'll probably know that it exports STL files. And if you're using OpenSCAD, but you want to try use it to design things in a professional setting, it's more often than not really tough to use STL files in the context of a professional CAD toolchain. It's kind of like only having JPEG images if you're trying to work and be a professional, I don't know, like a publisher using Adobe Illustrator and stuff like that all the time. You want good original sources as much as possible. Anyway, I have a little script that can export the CLJ OpenSCAD stuff directly without OpenSCAD being in there, directly into a step file using FreeCAD. It's a little bit messy, but it works here if you look at the main thing. So here, this is a Python string because FreeCAD, if you want to use it in the, unless I really misunderstand it, if you want to use it on the command line, it bumps you into a Python environment. I built this script by trial and error a little bit. I recorded a macro in FreeCAD of me I forget how I did it exactly. Anyway, basically I came up with a minimal script here that you run in Python, and that opens up FreeCAD, reads the CSG file, and then save it to a step file. Now, in order to do this successfully, what I had to do, I had to fork, I cloned SCAD CLJ, and the reason for that is basically this file here, csg.cljc, is one that I wrote. So this is confusing maybe, but OpenSCAD SCAD files are a little bit different. They're a superset of .csg files, which is it's basically the same syntax as SCAD files, but there's a few restrictions on it. So for example, what's a good example? Here, in a normal SCAD file, you can use words like rotate and stuff like that. You can transform with a rotation. That in the back end. Oh, hey, Graz, thanks for the follow, by the way. Just noticed that now. Sorry if I missed that earlier. I appreciate that. It's really nice. Boy, oh boy. I'm walking on a few different tangents. I'm noticing, but anyway, I'm excited to talk about this. So, a SCAD file will let you write rotations directly. The CSG thing is a subset basically, and so in the background, OpenSCAD reads a SCAD file and produces a CSG file and then does other stuff with it. Yeah, rotation is not a primitive in CSG. That's a succinct way of putting it. So all I had to do was I just cloned the SCAD CLJ library, copied the SCAD model, made a CSG file. A lot of the emitters are exactly the same. There's not much difference. There's just a few, right? So I had to create a rotation matrix thing for the rotates, and for translates I had to do the same, but those are easier matrices to build. So the whole reason to do this, the only reason I cared to do this was because the FreeCAD CSG reader only, as far as I understand it, only reads CSG code, not OpenSCAD code. So if you just emit a regular SCAD file, then, so it's actually CLJ to OpenSCAD to CSG to step. Yeah, it's a little crazy sometimes. Although, yeah, CSG. So the only technical difference there is I skip I just emit CSG directly. I didn't pipeline it. So you can do, boy oh boy. Sorry if my explanations are getting a little wild. I'm trying to I'm trying to, oh, you got it. Good. Cool. These are all topics, so you don't know OpenSCAD that well. Oh, okay, that's cool. That's cool. Honestly, so I'm explaining it just fine. Nice. I know OpenSCAD has some good popularity, but I think it's still a relative niche in general. So it's always fun when people are asking questions that they even know what the program is. That's really cool. So I'm appreciating it all. Let me think about this. CD. Let me open up a cool little OpenSCAD thing to show off a little bit. A little bit of how I like to use it anyway. What's a good one to show? Well, I'll show two different ones. There's one that's fun and one that's important. Let's go into here. I think I made... Oop. Okay, so check this out. If I open out.mp4, this was another thing I was messing around with on the weekend. OpenSCAD, on the command line, you can export PNG images. And so if you export a bunch of PNGs, you can string them all together into a video using FFmpeg. So I made this thing. I made this thing on the weekend. So this is a rendered animation of this model that I built just for kicks. This is if you're familiar with Mario at all, this is a Mario question block. I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with that. Anyway, this is more for fun than anything. It's Super Mario 3D. Yeah, absolutely. So sometimes if you're messing around with exports and scripts and all that, I like to make something that's just fun and not strictly speaking important. But yeah, I'm pretty proud of that so far. Let's see here. You familiar with Mario? Oh, you gotta... So sharing links in the chat is totally cool. I don't mind that at all, but I basically don't ever open them on the stream, just as an FYI. I've got it open on my other computer here. Just FYI. You know. Man, I'm also streaming from a laptop that can only do one thing at a time, pretty much. There you go. Yeah, your profile pic is Mario, of course. You know what Mario is. Oh, I just finished doing exactly what you didn't tell. You know what? Life goes on. I'm okay with it. What was I gonna open? Oh yeah, let's do. Well, let's open up the Q block. Let's see what's going on with this. So I still have a bunch of things that I'm. See, this should work. I hope it works. So I'm trying to build a script version of this watcher namespace. So what this watcher does, well, apparently it fails, so never mind. Let's see here. Oh, right. This was an attempt to turn my watcher into a Babashka script. So you know what? Let's abort mission and let's open up this one because I didn't change this one yet, I think. You know what? It's Monday and it's me, so this is how I work. I'm kind of all over the place. Anyway, so here, this is a more serious design, and there we go. So this is an inline image. I drew this on my iPad. This is just a sketch. I'm building this with a friend. It's just a PVC hydroponic system. You flow water through the PVC. You've got plants in a minimal soil substrate or no soil substrate at all, and you can grow like spinach and kale and stuff like that. Pretty fun. My friend has a nice basement where you can do that sort of thing. So you could also grow weed. It's legal in Canada. You're allowed to do it, but that I can promise you that's not what me and my friend are doing. Since it's legal, it's actually just way easier to go and buy it than it is to grow it. Oh, you're also Canadian. Nice. Whereabouts in Canada? You don't have to share if you don't want to, of course, but you East Coast, West Coast? Oh, you're Canadian, but you're living in New York City? Is that what I'm picking up here? From Calgary. Cool. Nice stuff. I worked in Calgary for one of my co-ops. I went to University of Waterloo. So I worked in Calgary for one of those co-ops, and that was a really fun city. I quite liked it. I like skiing and all that kind of stuff, so it's a good place to be. You worked at RIM. Oh man, RIM. Those are the days. I'm pretty sure they still exist, but I have no idea what they do now. Oh, don't worry about distractions. Distractions are my own decision, is what I always say. I always love it when people are talking and asking questions in the chat. So inevitably that leads to tangents and stuff like that. But never feel bad for distracting me. I mean, at worst, I can do this. I could just not read my chat and do something for a bit. So it's always my choice. So feel free to keep talking away. And I'll let you know if and when stuff becomes an issue. So let me see where this watcher file is. Hydro.watcher. Okay, CLJ M hydro.watcher. This should work, I hope. Yeah, it's complaining. That's fine. Okay, so it's waiting now. All right, this should, if I run, let's change something here. Let's break it. Yeah, good. So it spit out a whole bunch of gobbledygook, but that's okay. What I'd like to do here is open SCAD. There we go. One of these is the right file. I don't know which one it is. Let's see if it's this one. Nope, that's the... Well, you know, that's a cool one, but that's not the one I was trying to show off. But you know what? Let's just leave it there. Let's open another one then. Yeah, right now I'm in town Grimsby in Ontario. It's honestly not my favorite place to live. At the end of the month, or mid-March, yeah, I'm actually moving to Vancouver, so quite a big change on my end. It'll be past Calgary even. All right, hydro. Oh, I'm already in the hydro folder. Ridiculous. There we go. Okay, let's try to zip this around a bit. All right, here we go. So this is an actual potentially real world situation, right? Where this is actually representative of what we're building. Better weather for sure in Vancouver. I've heard people say, oh, it rains a lot in Vancouver. But if I actually think about it, literally everywhere I've ever mentioned I was moving to, someone has said that. So I feel like people don't know what they're talking about. Vancouver versus Ontario. Yeah. I'm stressed out because I have to drive across the country and whatnot, but I'm super excited to actually move into a city, like a city proper. Grimsby's it's not bad, but it's really expensive and just doesn't suit my lifestyle. Vancouver is expensive, but it does suit my lifestyle. So, plus I'm moving in with some friends, so that'll be nice too. Right, so this is OpenSCAD's normal viewer, and you can work, once you have the watcher going, you can just make changes, save it, it automatically refreshes. There you go, see that? And I've set this up, the whole idea here is I have a parameters map that controls a lot of high level stuff. Oh, Vancouver does rain a lot versus Calgary. Yeah, I'm not too worried about the rain, honestly. It's just not a big problem for me. I lived in the Netherlands for 2 years and I had just a bicycle and public transit, but I had to bike to work every day, and that was about 40 minutes of biking. On a good sunny day, it was lovely, but there were times where it was pouring rain, and those were a little bit miserable, but not the worst. You think OpenSCAD automatically watches SCAD files? Yes, it does. So my watcher is not doing anything of that sort. Remember, I'm writing CLJ code. I am not writing SCAD code, right? So the watcher looks for changes in my CLJ source, compiles it to SCAD, and then OpenSCAD just changes when it's watching the SCAD file. Does that make sense? Basically, the watcher is just compiling. Give it 20 years and we'll have bikes like Tron where they carry a handle and it forms around you. Rain will be a thing of the past. Man, that's a future I'd be happy with. The bikes thing. I kind of don't think we should get rid of rain entirely, or you mean rain won't be a problem with those bikes, I guess. Man, that would be really cool. Just to have really, I don't want the fine. Jeez, come on. Do you ever hate computers, even though computers are part of your livelihood? I get that from time to time, Hate computers every day. Good, I'm not alone. Oh my goodness. What a ridiculous thing. It's just there's so much, they're just so extra, There's so much stuff that goes wrong. Ugh. I really shouldn't complain. I mean, They're so powerful, right, that a little bit of complexity is inevitable. And if you're not, I don't want to complain too much, because if I'm not careful, I could also be a contributor to those kind of problems, right? Every day I wonder why I work with these awful machines. Oh, what a life. What a life. Where was I going with this originally? I think I was saying something important, but I don't remember it. Anyway, these are examples of actual SCAD scripts that I use. They're nice. While I'm at it, let's see. Oh, the pipeline to step files. Oh, right. Thank you. Right, so step file export. Let's zip our way back to this Hydro file here. You're in software security. Oh man, that's cool. I mean, no wonder you hate computers. Oh yeah, guys, by the way, I'm the one streaming, but feel free to talk and share amongst yourselves, of course. Hey Graz, Mike has been he's one of the people that shows up very frequently and regularly. He's here quite a bit. So he's a friendly dude. You can rest assured he's a good dude to talk with, so don't be afraid. That's my needless endorsement. What? Oh yeah. Okay. So this step file pipeline. Here we go. This is all. This is the thing to show. Can you tell it's Monday? I'm losing my mind. Okay. Right, so the step file exporter, what it does is it'll generate a Python script in your working directory. Into the Python script, it'll put the full paths to the particular file the particular CSG file that you're going to be transforming. So what it does here, it takes your CLJ file, it compiles it to CSG. So here we go, SCAD block, writes a CSG, and this write CSG is my function from my modifications to the SCAD library. It's a drop-in replacement for write SCAD. You could change that and you'd get a SCAD file out instead of a CSG. That's the only difference between things here, really. Then I write the CSG, spit that string to a CSG file. Then you do, I just mess around with strings for paths. Here, this is where probably things could be way cleaner, but I got things to work, and it's a matter of refining from there. This exporter script here generates this exporter script string with the proper paths, and then it spits it to fcscript.py, which is FreeCAD script. That's all. Now all of the files are generated. The next thing to do is just shell call to FreeCAD and run it with the py script. That starts running. Once that's finished running, the step file is generated. It's done at that point. So really the bulk of the work is done by FreeCAD's step exporter. The eventual goal is build my own step exporter here, or build a cleaner, smaller interface to the C libraries that do all of that anyway. But FreeCAD uses, it's called Open Cascade. It's this big open source, to me anyway, it's this really confusing C++ library. So there's a whole lot of stuff that I'm out of my depth on. So for now, getting working pipelines is more important than knowing how to do it all in a single library. Obviously, I want to improve that, but it's a really good way to show the actual building process. And I mean, part of this is I want to start doing automations for manufacturing design departments, and they're not going to care at all about me using FreeCAD or me doing it native, right? So really, this is more important anyway. Anyway, so once that's done here, I just try to clean up the temporary files that it makes, because FreeCAD just dumps a ton of stuff without cleaning it. So then I just shell, call, remove all this stuff. And then build just runs all of that on the file you pass in. Simple as that. I say simple, but maybe it's not so simple. The hardest part was figuring out this Python script and and how I could actually make it work. The next steps to improve this would be, instead of spitting a Python script to disk, I want to see if it's possible to pass it into FreeCAD as a string right here. So there's just less being written to the file. There are fewer files being written overall, but those are things that I'll work on, as the time, as need. Can you do redirects? What do you mean by redirects? Oh, like standard in to standard, or pardon me, standard out to in on the next thing, that sort of stuff? The answer is probably yes. Yeah. I don't know yet. So what I'm showing you is the first thing I thought of that worked, right? So once I have it, makes it a pseudo file. Echo hello. Yeah, so what you're pointing out is stuff that I started to look into and haven't concluded that yet. So I appreciate that. The arrow syntax makes a file for the purpose of command. Here, you know what? This is exactly why I have this in an org file. Some notes from Graz's father. So the funny thing is, I do this from time to time with suggestions from the stream, and it's just because the internet's sometimes a lovely place, usually where people are involved, and on my stuff people are lovely. But leaving notes here, you get really funny things, like everyone's name is weird on the internet, It's like it's some weird mix of letters, words, and sometimes it's funny, sometimes it doesn't make any sense, but anyway, it's just lovely to have here. So let me try this for a second. Echo. Oops. See if I understand this. Wait a minute, am I reading this wrong? You've been stuck with this name since you were an edgy teenager. Oh, okay, I gotcha. That's the pseudo file. Neat. Okay, that's cool. Now try again, but cat, and then cat. Let me just make sure I'm understanding this here. Cool. Loving that. Okay, that's perfect. So here, let me use the... Oh, I don't know what the name for this operator is, or whatever, to make pseudo files. Example, echo. Oops. Process substitution operator. Thank you. See, that's really useful, because when inevitably I don't actually understand the whole thing, Googling will be way easier when I can Google this. Makes the file and removes it for you. Man, that's really cool. Thank you so much. I seriously appreciate that. All right. Examples, echo this, that, and then I'll do another one, cat, this, echo, hello. There we go. That's good enough for now. I'll be able to use that nicely. Yeah, it's seriously, it like Googling Linux magic is so so tough sometimes. There we go. I'm gonna save that tab. Thank you. Man, that's great. You know what? Makes it worth it. Streaming, totally worth it. Do things like diff, xxd bin, bin 1, bin 2. Oh man, that's smart. That's really clever. I'm just leaving this here for posterity. There we go. And then I need to leave a note for myself here. I can use the above to clean up the Python script / freecat invocation. There we go. Basically eliminating the need to spit fcscript.py to disk. There we go. Hey Graz, thanks for joining. I appreciate that. Good luck at your meeting. By the end of this year, you'll have a cookbook of helpful commands you could publish at this rate. You know what, Mike? That's actually not a bad idea. You're totally right. I mean, there's all kinds of useful stuff that's coming out of the woodwork here. You're totally right. Okay. Well, I'm not, so I've noted that those changes down. I'm not going to implement those right now. What I wanted to do was keep, let me check this for a second. Sorry, this week is going to be a hectic week for me. I've got to move soon, and it's a big move, so I'm checking messages and stuff like that. Anyway, so I'm not going to implement that change to the step export now. I have something that works okay, and I know I need to improve it, so there's a note there. That's good. What I wanted to have a look at was this here, SVG, or yeah, this SVG thing. I want to make sure that's working okay. When's the official move date? Yeah, so I leave Ontario on March 10th, but I have to leave this apartment on Sunday. On the 28th is the last day of the month. So I have to move from here. I'm crashing at my parents. I love them so much. They're really helpful. Crashing there for a bit, and the reason I'm leaving March 10 is just because family and friends around here want to say bye and stuff like that. Just around the corner. Oh yeah, it's coming quick. I tell you, so I move frequently. I'm really kind of used to it, but my stress levels are spiked right now because of that. So yeah, that's just something I got to deal with. The builds and the cleanup are coming along. They're a little slower than I wanted, and that's part of the stress, but it's just going to be okay. And, I'm doing my best to, roll with the punches that life gives me. So if things don't go according to plan, I can adjust. But, whoo boy, I'm stressed out. You moving for a job or a new place to live and change of scenery? Ostensibly just for a new place to live and change of scenery, but realistically, in a situation where, so let's say the end of this year, I don't have a viable path to grow a business of my own. I mean, I'm working hard to do that, but who knows? It doesn't necessarily work. Vancouver seems like a place where I'll both like to live and be able to find reasonably nice work as well. But I don't really know. It's a bit of a gamble. I mean, life is that way a lot of times, but so it's ostensibly for a new place to live, change of scenery, but it's thinking to the future just a little bit. It's a little bit of a hedge as well, in the fact that probably I'll be able to find decent work there. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. But the other side of that is, I mean, probably there's going to be a lot of remote work opportunities in the future as well. So I don't necessarily have to worry about where I'm living. But this is all speculation, right? I have no idea what the future holds. What I do know is I want to experience a different city. Where I'm living now is just not really my vibe. It's also pretty expensive. So I'm excited to move. But the moving part, I want to go like that and just be there, you know? Okay. I'm going to go to the washroom, and then I'm going to come back and try to get this script sorted and tested just a little bit. I'll be right back. Know what I mean? Yeah. If you could just teleport yourself and all your important things, that would be ideal. Give me 1 minute. I'll be back. All right. Yeah, so on the topic of moving, probably I won't be able to stream until I'm in Vancouver. I might not even be able to stream all week this week because I want to get all my stuff sorted. What I was thinking is kind of build up a backlog of YouTube videos or something. So instead of doing streams during that whole time, I could just upload a bunch of videos and just release them on a schedule. So at least there's something happening. But I'm wondering if I'm just going to needlessly stress myself out more, you know, like I could just not do anything until I'm comfortably moved in. The problem with that is, I mean, on the internet, if you're not doing anything, it seems like you disappear quickly, right? But I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about. Ugh. All this stuff is just on my mind, you know? Right, this SVG library. Let's see what's going on with this, huh? Let's try something. Okay. Clear this animation. This watcher is probably good to stay on. Let's do... Oh, wait, I want to keep this closed for now, actually. Okay, so let's close this just to keep my head uncluttered. Okay, so this library is not built currently. CLJ to SCAD, CLJ to STEP, those exist. This library, CLJ to SVG, does not. So let's see if I can actually make it work. Bit of a tricky spot to be in, especially being a younger channel. Sounds like it'll be less stress if you focus on the move and then put in the time for the channel once you're settled. I think you're probably right. I have to think, so I think there is a middle ground between doing nothing and doing everything. So I might be able to, I think this week I can manage to hit some sweet spot, and I'll have to see. But I think, I don't know, weirdly, so being like you say, a younger channel, which is totally accurate, I don't know how much it actually is going to matter. You know, like, take yourself, for example. You show up regularly, but you know why I wouldn't be around for a bit. So, I mean, it's not a crazy thing. If I put on Twitter, I have a few people that follow me there, and that gets some engagement sometimes. You know, if it's out there, could also put some old videos up as replays on the channel. Actually, that's a pretty good idea. That just gave me, okay, so I had this total prototype thing that would analyze a video file's audio. So it would cut the audio, and it would just get timestamps of every start and stop of silent sections, at least a second long or something like that. And then you could take that text file and then cut everything out and restitch it together with all the silence cut. So maybe I should run that on a few of my VODs and just have a minimally edited VOD up on the channel. That way, instead of a 2.5 hour VOD where I'm, going to the bathroom or not talking about anything, I could have a, 1 hour VOD where maybe it's a little strange, but maybe that'd be a kind of cool thing. And I mean, talking about minimal effort on my part, that would be kind of cool. But even if I don't do it that way, just having a VOD or two up there with a little, like a title screen and a little text explaining what's going on, that's not a bad idea. I don't know why I didn't think of that. That's a good solution. I like it. I like it a lot. Would allow people to discover the channel a bit while you're moving as well. Yeah, you know what? I think you've nailed it. I think that's totally my solution. Man, like in a little over an hour, this stream has solved a few little things for me. What a great day. And I was feeling a little down, like, oh man, should I stream? Last week was so small and quiet, but boom, already. Totally worth it. Okay, this slice animation thing we can touch another time. Let me check that this build thing actually works. So one thing I've been struggling with is my library, SVG CLJ, and it's only Monday. By the end of the week, we'll solve world hunger. Oh boy, wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be lovely? If only we could help everyone that quickly. I'd be happy to be part of that world. Hey, Madcap Horse. How are you? I hope you're doing well. You, for one, are definitely enjoying the Emacs and Clojure workflow. Sorry to lurk getting dinner ready while I watch. Hey, lurk away. That's no problem with me. I appreciate the chats and comments, by the way. Lurkers welcome. Yeah, totally. Every little bit is helpful and makes me happy, so I appreciate that. Also, I hope your dinner tastes good when it's finally ready. Okay. Let's get this script going. So here, what I was saying was my Clojure CLJ library, I've been working hard to get it all instrumented. Ooh, that was a whistly S. Instrumented with Clojure Spec. And it's starting to work really nicely, but there's some compatibility issues if I run those specs in Babashka. So Michiel Borkent, the creator of Babashka, has also created a little library called Spartan.Spec, and it's a minimal re-implementation to kind of bridge the gap of compatibility a little bit. Now the issue here is it only has spec def, so these sorts of things here where you're just defining a direct spec, but it does not have s/fdef. And fdef is a function specification, and what I've been doing is making a bunch of function specs as well. So for example, the circle one's a really easy one to show. It's tangled into a different directory, but this is a different function. I am speccing up the args and the return value. So this works fine in CLJ and a CLJS context, but it's not working in Babashka. And I want to be able to provide a Babashka script for my libraries so that someone could theoretically download the library and just run scripts with it, just so they could, like, it's actually a useful tool right out of the gate. That's the thinking anyway. And they could integrate it into their own work. They don't even have to be Clojure devs at that point, right? They could, if I put in a nice binary or something, they could run my library with minimal issues. That's the thinking anyway. So this kind of works, but it doesn't work perfectly yet, and it's a little bit of me learning spec still. So maybe I'm making bad specs, but maybe Babashka is not fully compatible in the way that I need it to be. So there's a little bit of confusion happening around that. But regardless, if I build this script, I think I should be able to run it on a few tests just in case. So let's do, well, let's try to build it. Nope, that's the wrong thing. Uberscripter, because I'm great at naming things. Let's do CLJ to SVG. SVG, please. Let's see if it builds. I think it will. Hey, that looks successful. Let's go see if it works. So I'm opening a new thing here. I should be able to go into dev temp here. Let's remove ASDF. Don't need them. And let's make a new one. Vim asdf.clj. And I'll make an SVG with this. So let's do SVG. And this is using the syntax of my SVG library. So this is SVG, the width and the height of the SVG element, and the scale, which is 1 unit. So with scale of 1, the dimensions are pixels, which is nice and easy to understand. And so let's just do a circle with a radius of 100. So this, my library centers objects on the origin by default. So this circle of 100, of a radius 100, will look like a black quarter of a circle in the top left corner of the SVG if it all works successfully, which I think it will. We'll find out soon enough. So let's run clj to svg on astf.clj. Ooh, well, there we go. It didn't work. So this is the kind of stuff I'm interested in poking around with. So this, So this here, could not resolve symbol, monitor, enter, is related to, I thought I solved this. This is what shows up when I'm trying to run Clojure spec stuff in the Babashka context. So that's what's happening here. It's not working yet. So let's see. I have to think about this now. So since I know this isn't working the way I want it to, let's go back to, I'll leave that going because why not? Let's do this here. Okay, so I'm in my scripts folder. Let's go into the source here. And the way I write my source files is so that I can run them without compiling it into an Uberscript. So it'll work in this context directly. Oh, my video is hiding a chunk of it. Oh, sorry about that. Good point. Let me try to change that for a minute. One thing I thought of before, so my video feed, it's all set up on this computer is a different computer, right? So what I see when I'm looking at my computer is this, right? I don't see this. So I almost would like the idea of building a little thing that floats a window with my webcam on my Mac, and that way I can literally move my own face around in the same computer context. But that has its own small problems and whatnot. But it might be something, because then I could have two camera views too. I could use the camera on here and I could use the camera on my main computer. But anyway, total tangent. Thank you for reminding me about that. This is not perfect, but it's better, and also a little small. So let's do this. Boy, oh boy. Okay. Let's see what's going on here. Emacs also does a shell if you wanted to do it in there. Yeah, so I've used, thanks for pointing that out. I've used shell, oh, well, there you go. I've used it before, and I don't really like it because it does stuff like this. See, I can't, or I don't know how. Maybe this is a me problem. I'm sure it's a me problem. The way I am used to working around here, I use clear all the time, and this isn't clearing things, and I don't know the key bindings and stuff like that yet. Anyway, unimportant. That's maybe something I'll fix at some point. Okay, so here I'm in this source folder here, and these source pieces I can run them all using BB before they're built into an Uberscript, and that's by design so that I can test a little bit more quickly. So here, let's make a simple little file. Let's make astf.clj, the classic svg circle is spelt correctly. That's good. All right. There we go. Now, if I do BB, got to take the dog out while there's a break in the rain. Yeah, go for it. Best of luck to your dog. Okay, let's run this on astf.clj. So it should, ooh, it didn't fail. So why did that not fail? That is something I don't understand yet. If I move asdf.svg to asdf.html, I can then open asdf.html and it should open. There we go. There we go. That's displaying like I thought it would, so that's nice. Okay. All right. Okay, all right. Great. Okay, so why didn't that work in my temp folder? I'm gonna guess it's because I didn't actually build the script, or I thought I did, but I didn't. Okay, now let's try again. Let's go dev temp CLJ to SVG. I need better names for these. They're really clunky. Okay, so let's run that on ASDF CLJ. Error. This is fascinating to me. And I don't know why it's failing. So let's think about this, huh? Well, okay. Let's exit this one. Don't need it. Okay, so oops, I'm in the wrong folder. Let's copy from source asdf.clj into build asdf.clj. Okay, so let's try this built one here. So this is the one that I'm having problems with. So let's test that now too. Instead of testing it in a temp folder, let's just test it here. So let's do bb clj to svg on asdf.clj. Intriguing. Okay, so the problem is in that file. So let's open that up. Let's dev script build clj to svg. All right, let's have a little peek. Hey Graz, welcome back. Welcome back, Mike. The rain had no let up. You regret everything. Oh man, sorry to hear that, Mike. Is your dog at least comfortably relieved? Okay. Oh, right. Sorry, Graz. Before I forget to answer, this theme is one of my favorites. It's called Nord theme. Nordtheme.com will show you the basic palette. Yeah, she's good but wet. That's okay. Yeah, so this is the Nord theme. It's got a really subtle palette. I quite like it. Sometimes I do wonder if it's not quite it doesn't quite have enough contrast for all the elements in my code, but more often than not it's a total non-issue, and I really like it. I use it in my videos and stuff as well. A lot anyway. See this too, where possible, I even make the backgrounds Nord themed here just to match it all. And my empty desktop is Nord themed. Keep it nice and simple. I don't know why, but the Emacs background is darker than some of the others, but I'm a little too lazy to figure it all out. You did Solarize Dark for 8 years and now it's Groovebox. Nice. Those are both really nice themes too. Themes are, I have a love-hate relationship with themes in general. Like, it's always so much work to make every different thing consistent in terms of theming. Like, I installed the Nord theme on Emacs and this is the screen, the background color. But I did the Nord theme on iTerm here, and you can tell that the color is much lighter than this one. And so I'd have to manually go in and configure things, right? So Part of me just learns to be okay with things not being perfect, and the other part of me always hates it that there's a little bit of manual work to do every time. But you know what? Refer to earlier where we were saying we all hate computers. This is one of those things. Next level of enjoyment of themes is to have it randomly select one every time you boot up. That's a cool idea. That sounds like a bigger headache than I'm currently willing to incur, but that's actually a fascinating idea. Once I move and once I buy and build a new PC, I'll have a completely Linux-based workflow again. Excuse me. And then I'll maybe consider doing stuff like that. But doing it on a Mac is not worth the trouble. At least for me, it's not been worth it. This is the most custom stuff I'm willing to deal with on my Mac. And you know what? It mostly works. I mean, the important stuff is the code you're writing anyway. So, all right, let's see. Can I make this work? I'll write the plugin for you for Emacs at least. Don't worry. Oh man, that's extremely nice. I'll take you up on that. I mean, no rush, no pressure. But if you do it, I'll use it. Okay. This file's huge. Okay, let's check. What does a working script look like a little bit here? Okay, so this does not have, okay. This might be a bigger issue than I thought. So like, this is importing the world, it seems. All right, let's close that for a minute. Let's take one step back. Let's check the source here. Let's modify this source a little bit. I have a question in mind here. If I change my namespace here, so right here I have require Spartan.spec, and then I'm requiring the full spec here. What I wonder is, can I modify this to work like this? If this will work, it might not import. It might work better. I don't know. It's a theory, and I'm going to try it. This is the wrong script. Okay, that seems to work. It does generate an SVG here, so let's try build it without that. Uberscript source CLJ2 SVG. Okay, so now let's go into build. So here we do not have an SVG file yet. Let's try to run it. Same problem. Okay. Okay. This is a bummer. I'm thinking about different approaches I could take to solving this problem now. Okay, so let's maybe read the errors a little more closely. Let's see what's going on here. So we're getting spec related issues. The context is monitor enter. Okay, could not resolve symbol monitor enter. Let's look into the source once again. Scripts build CLJ to SVG. Search forward monitor enter monitor enter. Right, it doesn't exist. Here's the Nord theme again. Let's do, wait, is Babashka here? Yeah. Let's check out, these are examples. Core data I don't need right now, nor that. My gists, whatever. No one cares. Okay, where did it go? Let's do, I had this open earlier. There we go. Let's see what the deal is here. Maybe this doesn't help me at all. I'm not sure. Okay. Does this does not. Okay, that's not helpful. Oh, wait. Clojure spec gen. Why is that in here? Let's see. Why is that coming in there at all? That shouldn't be. I don't think. Okay. Pretty print. Spec. Reader. All this looks fine. Okay, what if I... Maybe gen is just part of spec. Maybe that's normal. I don't remember. Oh no, I guess it would be, right? Because the spec alpha namespace does have things like exercise and stuff, which would need generators in it. So it makes sense that it's part of that, I suppose. What doesn't make sense to me is where that code is actually coming from, because Spartan Spec, I don't think, should have it. I also don't get why why it's working in the source context but not the build context, right? Like if I go into source, it works when I run this. I'm confused. I'm thinking. I'm thinking and checking my messages at the same time. Which is actually just a cop-out. If you're checking your messages, you're not thinking. All right, enough of that. You spaced out installing the theme. What are we stuck on right now? Well, let's. I'll try to explain what's going on here. So I'm working on this here, CLJ to SVG. This is a script that I wrote that, well, first of all, context. I'm working on a library, a Clojure library. You can actually go on my GitHub to see the work in progress. The library is Svg CLJ. It's a little wrapper that produces SVG files, basically. It works by doing, I think I have the REPL open somewhere in here. Yeah, this one looks like, okay. All right, so this is my SVG REPL. You can draw things with it. So circle 20 emits a hiccup style form. You can do things like translate it, and it bakes the things into the, it bakes the translates into the objects. Anyway, oop, it normally does. Oh yeah, if I actually put a translate value in there, geez, can't use my own library. There we go. Did I use this in the Hades video? Yes, that is the same. That is one and the same. Glad you watched that Hades video. That's cool. Anyway, so that library, I'm trying to quote unquote professionalize it. So I'm adding spec and test cases and trying to organize the code and document it a little better, because I genuinely think it could be a useful tool for people. Anyway, one of the things I want to do is just have a tiny script that I can run anywhere in my terminal, just like I have a thing that takes CLJ and produces a SCAD file. I want to take CLJ and produce an SVG file just like that. So I have this script here that does exactly that. The problem I'm facing is I have two contexts here. In my scripts, I've got the build folder and the source folder. If I go into source, I can, let's have a look at ASDF CLJ for a moment. I have this tiny snippet to test things with, and it works. It compiles this into an SVG file. In fact, let me make a change to it, and I can show you. Let's do translate this circle into the center of the SVG window like that. So let's save that change. No, let's save that change, please. And here you go. This is what it looks like before the change, okay? And if I run the script, hopefully it works. asdf.clj. Oops. Let's try it now with the spec in there. Nope. Well, forget that noise. I have more problems than I thought. These are kind of the things I'm running into, but let me show you. I can still show you what's going on here. So, if I get rid of the translate, just to simplify the example down a little bit, it might work. Okay, so in this situation, it did not error out. That is related to some problems in the Babashka context where, at least I think, where some spec-related things are not compatible. I think that's what's happening. Now, a different problem is what I was working on earlier. So for the sake of argument, let's say that this script works, okay? In fact, let's change it up just a bit to prove to ourselves that it is still working. So let's make this a rectangle. Come on. I'm really fat fingering this right now. Rectangle. Let's do 200 by 100. Okay, let's try that. So that ran, and to prove it, no. Oh, this is the wrong file. SVG. There we go. See that? It's a rectangle. Okay, so it's building. We'll ignore the fact that it's not building with translates right now. That's something I can work out in my library. Now, if I go here and I run the Uberscripter on source CLJ to SVG, that successfully builds to the build folder. But here, I have a test file here. Now, this is the crux of the issue. CLJ to SVG Uber on this has a completely unrelated error. It was building, this is theoretically the same script, before it was bundled up and after it was bundled up. So before it was bundled, it worked. After, I'm getting problems related to cannot resolve this symbol. So there's something going wrong in the Uberscript build process, and I don't know what that is yet. So that's the current problem. I want to disambiguate that from the other problems, which are related to either my own misunderstanding of how to write good specs, or current incomplete spec coverage from the Spartan.spec library. So there's a few things going on. Oh boy, it's like I'm struggling with all of this, basically. Now, to allow myself a brief foray into something else, just to show the reason why you're worrying about using an Uberscript, just to avoid invoking through BB. Obvious divide and conquer if you can. Yeah, to avoid invoking it through BB for one, and the second thing is I want to understand the nature of this so that I know. I want to use things like spec to make stronger libraries, right? I want to be a good library developer as much as possible. I also love and want to use Babashka to create useful scripts that use my libraries, right? Now, if there's a fundamental incompatibility with Babashka and certain elements of the Clojure tooling, I want to understand where those limits are so that I don't build up false expectations about how I can script things out. Does that make sense? So your question, why am I worrying about using an Uberscript? The only real, the real answer is so that I understand why I can't in this context. I think that's a reasonable thing. It just gives me a clearer picture of the things I'm actually building. But you're completely right. I mean, if you can run it without the Uberscript situation, I mean that's at least a win in some capacity. So you're not wrong about that. This is more my own edification kind of thing. I hope that makes some sense. But it is actually you have a perfectly reasonable question. It's like, okay, well, I mean, if it works this way, why do you need it to work the other way? Hey, Bork dude. Oh my goodness, hello. How are you? I'm I'm really excited to see you here. My goodness. Oh, a celeb. Well, I mean, if you say the word Babashka enough times, maybe he shows up. Oh my goodness, that's exciting. I'm all now I'm all embarrassed that I'm gonna do something silly. I mean, more silly things than usual. Oh man, hey, I don't know if I should call you Bork Dude or Michiel or what, but if I can pronounce Michiel sometime. I can't do the Dutch pronunciation perfectly, unfortunately. What was I going to say, though? Michael's fine, too. I lived and worked in the Netherlands for a while, and I'm ashamed that I could never quite get the pronunciation correct. People always ask me to say Schiphol Airport, and I always stumbled on that one. So Michael might be good. I'll stick with Michael for the sake of simplicity. If you're okay with that, that works for me. Anyway, I want to say up top, thank you so much for building Babashka. It's quite an amazing tool. I've been trying to get better as a developer in general, and I've been trying to understand how to use Babashka in cool ways, and it's coming together slowly but surely. I've been working on cleaning up my scripting a little bit, so I have a single spot where I'm starting to collect most of the code that I'm trying to put with scripts, and I'm setting things up to work in a context where I can invoke them kind of from anywhere. So, for example, I have this ASDF CLJ file. Sorry for everyone who already knows what's going on here. If I'm just over explaining things, I want to give everyone good context. Let's write a new little thing here for a second. Let's do, let's actually do a cube for fun. Cube 50, 60, 70. So this ASDF file is, it can be turned into, you can compile it into a SCAD file, which is a 3D modeling thing. So I can run one of these scripts here, CLJ to SCAD. I made an Uberscript version of this script, and I can run it from anywhere. Oops. I thought I could. I don't know why it's not there. Oh, I know why. Yeah, CLJ to SCAD. If I pass in this file, it builds this SCAD file here. Anyway, so I'm learning the tools a little bit more, and I'm more and more happy with it. It's coming along nicely. So I really appreciate the power of the tool. And even in my currently, not complete understanding of it, things are coming along quite nicely. So let's open up that temp file. Let's make it 150, like that. Let's save it. And here, if I run this again, oh boy, things are so crunched in here, you can't see anything. So all I have to do yet, were you trying to run Clojure Spec with Babashka? Yeah, so that's another thing. Give me 1 second and I'll get back into that. Final thought on this one was, the next thing I want to do with Babashka is learn how to use the file watcher appropriately, so that instead of manually running the script again, I can just run it on a file that changes. Anyway, so it's working really successfully there. So the situation that I'm currently struggling with is I'm building a library here, Svg CLJ. It's kind of it's a little library to help you draw SVG things. It uses hiccup data structures and the HTML hiccup compiler to emit SVG strings. I started using specs to help define the structure of the program a little bit. As a simple example, I need 2D points, I need collections of 2D points. All valid SVG elements have a similar kind of structure. So I have these SDEFs. And now this, I'll fully admit I have no idea if this is good practice or bad practice, but what I've started to do is use some of these specs to define predicate functions. For example, this predicate function here, element, I had it originally defined like this. It just checked if this spec was valid on the element. And then the idea is I just use that predicate where I need to. So what I've been doing is trying to figure out how to use, I think it's Spartan.spec, right? I have this Spartan spec thing here. And I put it in the namespace Spartan spec, and I don't know if I need this here. I think I do. Anyway, if I can run this script as an example. Sorry if this isn't making any sense. I'm trying to be clear, but things are a little all over the place. Let me clear up some of these. How about that? Okay. Scripts. So in my scripts folder, all of the scripts that I'm writing here go into the source folder, and I can run them. So here's an example, ASDF.clj. Here is a SVG rectangle. You can see the problem? Oh boy, that's exciting. That makes one of us. If I run this script as it is, yes, the problem does occur when making the Uberscript. That's exactly right. So if I run it without the Uberscript, it totally works. Well, barring problems with my library, which is a different issue. If I run it clj to svg asdf.clj, that successfully runs and it builds this SVG file. So that's working as expected. If I build the Uberscript, it doesn't work anymore. So if I go into build to run it here, so what I've just built is this here, clj to svg uber. That's just I just came up with that to differentiate. I don't know that it's important, but here I've got another, this should work in theory, but if I run clj to svg uber on that, it fails. And so I've seen these here related to when I was trying to run Clojure spec without importing Spartan. So the problem I get, it's could not resolve symbol monitor enter. And so that's currently where I'm stuck. It works when I don't Uberscript it, but when I Uberscript it, it doesn't work anymore. And so that's just confusing me at the moment. I mean, no need for you to solve it right now or at all. I mean, I can figure stuff out, but that's what I'm working through. So problem here is Spartan Spec defines Clojure Spec Alpha namespace when you load it. It doesn't work well with Uberscript, I think. Okay. Let's see here. So I've been, let's see. What am I trying to open up? There we go. Right, so right here in this middle big pane here is the Uberscripted file. It's imported quite a bit. I'm assuming that a lot of that is, well, so this is my library now. So you can see there's a few SDEFs in there, right? So that's why I wanted to get it working. Right, so here this is all mine, and everything up here is, I'm assuming, from Spartan. I haven't looked into it closely, but what I see is the real Clojure spec. Ah, okay. So is that So I kind of don't want or need the real spec in here, right? Because the real spec is not compatible with Babashka. Am I understanding that correctly? Correct. Okay, right. So, I don't know how to solve this problem, and that's fine. I mean, these are things I could figure out at some point, but you could hack around it by loading the namespace in a conditional, so the Uberscript will skip it. I see what you're getting at. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Let me think about that. When true, require. Oh, because then it'll evaluate. You know what? Let's try that. Because Uberscript it'll only pick up top level requirements. Yeah, we were thinking of the same thing. That's clever. Let's see if that works. When true, Clojure spec alpha. Oh, right, of course. Ugh. Thank you. Let's fix this here. When true, require. So anytime I have to do a require outside of a namespace, this is totally unrelated, but I always, like without fail, I end up doing this. Hey, Brian Penguin, thanks for following. I appreciate that. It's rare that I notice when someone follows right away. It's normally a few minutes after, so that was lucky. Anyway, when I normally do a require outside of a namespace, I always do it like this. Dot whatever. And I always get super confused why things break. All right, so let's see if this... Michiel. Oop. All right. Let's see what's up. Oh, I closed the wrong thing. Sorry, everyone. It is still a Monday. Okay. Let's pop that back open, huh? Scripts.org. Okay. All right. Moment of truth. Did I do this right? We'll see. Did I save it? Yeah. Okay, so let's do, we'll just try running it in source as is. So let's remove astf.svg to see that it actually will generate it. And we'll run... I need better names so that I don't have to type a bunch of things because I'm lazy. Okay, so that worked in this context still. So now let's Uberscript it and see what happens. Uberscripter source/clj to svg. Okay, so that built. A future version of Babashka will have Clojure spec built in. Since it's alpha, it's not yet there. Yeah, this is not like me feeling like, oh, this should work or anything like that. I mean, these things take time, right? It's no big deal. The thing I discovered that this particular thing was starting to be, or was a limit. So the current version of my SVG library is on GitHub. It doesn't have specs in it at all because I'm quite new to a lot of this, and I built a lot of the functions first, and I didn't know how to use spec, and I figured it would be important to start. But then I was starting to do Babashka scripting a little bit, and I was doing both, and then I realized that there's that kind of limit. So no big deal, just seeing, you know. Let's see if this works. We'll see. We'll just run it this way. Oh, you mean specs alpha? Yeah. No, I see your point. Yeah, it just seems like spec is always going to be alpha. I mean, I know that's not how it works, but I've never not seen it as alpha. Sorry, I misunderstood you. Right, let's run this. Nope, still an error. It's a different error though, which is a good thing. Wait, did I run the, no, I ran the wrong thing, like a goose. This is why I need better names. Okay, there we go. So that did not seem to fix the issue. Unless I'm misunderstanding something here. Core team is working on spec 2, so you're waiting for that. Hope it's not going to be forever. Oh, I think the core Clojure team, the thing, like, they work consistently. I don't think they're the fastest, like, they don't release things quick, but the reason for that is because they release really good things when they do release. So I don't expect it'll be forever. I just expect we have to be patient. Scripts, good point. Yeah, I mean, at least that's the hope, right? CLJ to SVG. I mean, I really have no reasons to complain about Clojure at all. It's a lovely thing to work in for sure. So do you have other Clojure spec requires in your script? No, the only place it's showing up is in the SVG library. So my other thought is I might try to figure out a better way to architect my library so that the specs are not necessary in a production situation, because that could eliminate the need for it in a Babashka context, right? So that's another kind of approach I was going to think of taking, but that runs into, so that's not a Babashka related thing. That's a limits of my own understanding kind of thing. Anything I've looked up for Clojure spec has been beginner tutorials on how to write specs and what you can do with them, but figuring out or finding examples of a idiomatic architecture for how to use them in your project, I haven't stumbled across one yet. So, you know, that's another me problem. So here it does look like it's still pulling in all of the spec here. Now maybe I missed something. What did I do wrong here? You can also use reader conditionals to add spec for Clojure and eliminate it in BB. Would that AFK for a bit? We'll be back. All right, have a good one. Thanks for showing up and thanks for the help. I might be off stream, so I'm not staying around much longer. So I really appreciate you tuning in. Thank you. Okay. So this is still importing spec, right? Which is nice, but not at all nice. Let's see here. Reader conditionals are analogous to if-def. Is if-def a C++ macro thing? I can show you an example of a reader conditional for a second. Let's do here. If we go to my namespace here, these two things are reader conditionals here, and it just reads like this. If you're inside a CLJ context, do whatever's inside that form. Oh, there might be, the workaround might be optimized. Okay. Thanks, Michael. I appreciate that. That's good to know. There might be something else we could do with that. How and where are CLJ versus CLJS defined? So there's a few ways that this stuff kind of works. It's a little confusing, and I'm not an expert, but so let me give you the lamest possible example. If I switch the code to Clojure script, never mind. Forget that. That's not important. If you load if I run a REPL cider jack in CLJS, that launches a that they're set. That's why I asked if they were the analog of a C some BS. Yeah, so sorry, I don't know enough about C to be able to actually give you an answer. So that's basically it. The reader conditional, they exist if you're running them in a CLJS context. Then this exists. Otherwise, it's this. It's all good. So you can define this. I've never done before, but you can you can always define your own readers. So you can define a reader that will read other source code and will enable or disable things based on your own reader conditionals. So you can make your own arbitrary ones, I think, but it does boil down to, if you're running it on this VM, it'll do that. If you're running it on this one, it'll do that. So then CLJ versus CLJS have their own implementation of the reader conditional? That's a good question. I suppose they must. Let me think about that. Yeah, I guess they would have to. No, these are good questions, but I unfortunately don't know all the answers to these things. See, I love using Clojure, but I feel like an imposter sometimes. I can't always answer these expert level questions. Yeah, so I wish I could tell you, but I actually just don't know. But what I do know is, so reader conditionals are really useful, but you want to use them as little as possible because they start to make your code look unruly, right? So a way that people will often organize their code structures, this I do know, is you see this file extension here? There's 3 common file extensions. There's CLJ, which is the original JVM Clojure code context. There's CLJS, which is, as you might guess, Clojure script. And then there's CLJC, which is, I don't know what the C stands for, but it's compatible between both contexts. So, whatever situation you're running it in, if you notice a file with a CLJC in a library, it's intended to be used in either context. CLJS is intended to be used on Node or the browser or Lumo, whatever JavaScript environment you're running in. And CLJ is JVM. Or if you've got crazy stuff like Babashka scripts, or you're compiling to C using Ferret or whatever you have in mind, you can call it CLJ as well. But anyway, I try to make things. I like the idea of being able to use all my libraries purely on the Clojure side and Clojure script side. So I really try to not have platform specific stuff in there all that much. You can't avoid it completely, like this, for example. Hiccup doesn't work on Clojure script, and this reader, you have to load cljs.reader to get read string instead of it being in the core namespace. Little things like that. So it's not perfectly compatible, which is sometimes a bummer, but so it goes. What was I doing? I was trying to figure out this sort of thing. Oops. Okay, let's mess around with this reader conditional then for a moment. So let's just do, instead of when true, we don't need that. We can actually just do this. Let's do reader conditional bb nil. And then CLJ is this require. So let's try that. Oops. There we go. Let's try one more time. That won't work? Are you asking or telling me? I'm trying it, I don't know. This one, font is too small? Which font? Sorry. Give me a second here. Thought I had require in square brackets. Do you need, I do not. Text scale adjust. Is that a bit better? No sweat. Yeah, sorry about font size and stuff like that. Sometimes, there you go. I'll try my best to keep it around that size, but if it's not, oh, that's the wrong one. Again, not. Boy, oh boy, what a day! What a day! Ooh, I have to get going soon. Like very soon. I just want to try this one more time. BB Uberscripter source CLJ to SVG. Not still getting the same problem. Okay. Well, that's something to work on later. Okay. So I have to get going. I have to go do a workout with my brother. Gotta get over there. Fun stream. Yeah. Learned a bunch. Hey, Graz, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. It was a lot of fun to have you here and to have Michael and other Michael, a few Michaels showing up. So I normally stream Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. So I will be back again tomorrow for sure, but I'm in the middle of getting things ready to move. So, oh, that'll work if you spell YouTube properly. There you, oh wow, oh, there you go. Yeah, Mike coming in with the the promo stuff at the end. Thank you so much. Yeah, so I was saying I will for sure be back tomorrow, but because of the stress around packing and getting ready to move, there's a chance that I can't do normal schedules for the next little bit. So what Mike just shared there, it's Monday, correct spelling is optional. Well, you know what? The effort is appreciated either way. Point is, if there's anyone who's tuned into this and really likes it, I have a YouTube channel that showed up in chat there. In fact, let me just type it out on this screen here just in case. Post my streams on Clojure and Slack. Do you think so? Do you think that would go over okay? I'm not sure about what the rules for sharing there are. I don't want to be a jerk, you know, promoting myself too much, if that makes sense. Bork Dude posted it. Oh man. I'm so excited. Don't spam it. Doubt it'd be an issue. Oh no, spam of course not. That would be horrible. But that's another good thing to do. So this by the way is what my channel looks like so far. Yeah, I owe him one. Oh, I sure do. Totally. My goodness. He's the best. So this is I promise I want to be doing more content on here too. I think everyone who's here may have seen some of this already, but stay tuned on here for videos and stuff like that. While I'm moving, I won't be able to stream quite as regularly, but I've got a few ideas from Michael now, from Mike, who's currently here, about this. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. If you haven't seen the YouTube channel yet, please consider subscribing, watching some of those, leaving comments about, what you'd like to see, things that are good, things that maybe could be improved. I am keen to grow this kind of stuff because it's a lot of fun, and it's really great to experience chatting with smart people like yourselves. So, every little bit is helpful and every bit's exciting. So that's all I've got to say. Thanks so much, everyone. I'll be back again tomorrow, and have a good one, okay? I hope everyone is staying safe, staying healthy, all that kind of stuff. Have a good night.